Figures from the United States show that it added 248,000 jobs last month, bringing unemployment there to 5.9%, the lowest since July 2008. And that could ratchet up pressure on the Federal Reserve to raise its benchmark interest rate earlier than planned. Let's take a quick look at how that has been borne out on the markets. You can see there the FTSE 100 here in London currently up by 1.3%. Got to remember though, it hit a year-long low in trading yesterday. Taking a look at the picture across the rest of Europe, and sentiment all in positive territory there. The CAC 40 in Paris up by 0.7%, the Italian MIB up by 1.25%. And let's go across the Atlantic in New York. This is how the Nasdaq is performing in the first 20 or so minutes of trading. Currently up by just shy of 0.5%. Well, joining me now is Naim Aslam, the Chief Market Analyst at AvaTrade, to chew over those non-farm payroll figures out of the United States. This was better news than expected.
Absolutely, and most of this was driven by the services sector. I mean, last month we had a really bad number. So one-off bad number is okay, you know, they just let it go because it's just a one-off. But if you have two numbers in a row, then it sets the trend. So that trend is clearly broken now. And now we know that the growth in the biggest economy in the world is becoming very robust.
Could it be, seeing as we had a bad number last month, that you simply have some kind of pent-up or a spillover of demand for new jobs or demand for new employees that has spilled over into this month?
There's a strong possibility of that, because this number is known for being notorious. And then there's a seasonal effect, a lot of students going back into universities, more jobs coming in, and in that respect. But there are two things that I want investors to focus on for the time being. Number one is the stock market. What I am looking at is all-time high index. If S&P is going to make another high, are we going to see another high on the S&P, on the all-time indices? If that happens, then the trend would continue. Otherwise, the market could fall back again. And the second thing that I wanted to focus is the strength in the dollar. Now, this number has moved the dollar up very sharply. Now, that means is that, okay, how is that going to impact the next quarterly earnings week? That is the biggest talk for the market.
And what it will also do is, of course, set tongues wagging among the investor community about when the Federal Reserve might act to lift the interest rate from that historic low.
Absolutely, Ty. That's a great point. But what is more important now is whether Yellen is going to be talking dovish and doing more hawkish kind of a thing. That is the thing that you've got to be careful about. And if that really happens, are the Fed really behind the curve now, or are they going to catch up? How steep the raising the interest rate is going to be? If that happens, inflation is going to be on the mandate.
Okay, Naim Aslam of AvaTrade, thank you very much for your analysis on that today. Now, Sports Direct has increased its stake in Debenhams by a further 4.6%. Mike Ashley, who owns controls the sports retailer and also owns Newcastle United Football Club, began building a stake in Britain's